So what we got here is I've got some scrap silver and crucible that is strictly for silver. I don't want to contaminate it with the brass or aluminum that I might cast. And the silver, there's a lot of scrap I've got left over, sprues, whatnot. And this is actually casting grain that you can buy from various sources. I get mine from Rio Grande. And it's just pure sterling silver. It's like 99% pure. So, and you can get it down to 95%. And the other thing I need when I'm casting, since this has gases that escape, is just some charcoal. Pieces of charcoal that I'll throw in here, and they will absorb the gases that escape from the silver as it's melting down, and that'll keep any bubbles from occurring in the casting itself. So not much to it. Unlike brass, which is an alloy, and you need to keep the zinc and the copper, you know, mixed together properly. You would use borax when casting brass. Just a small tablespoonful in a crucible this size is all you need to stir it up, skim off all the excess that comes up, and that sort of keeps the mixture congealed together nicely. But with silver, it's a pure base metal, so you don't need to flux it. So it's pretty simple to do. I've got the molds outside, I've got the furnace going, heating up, and what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and charge this up with all this scrap. Dump it in. And I'll start with all the scrap metal that I've got first before I use my good casting grain. Get rid of a bunch of this first. Now I'm going to put the casting grains right on top. A good thing to have when you're casting is something to pour excess metal into. I've got some ingot molds, and the idea is not to let the metal sit in here because the stone crucible and the metal cool at different rates, and you have a good chance of cracking your crucible. So whatever metal is left over, pour it into something. You can make a divot in the ground even will work, just to get the excess metal out of this, something that you can then save and reuse. So let me get this outside and we'll stick it in the furnace, and we'll start this melting. It'll take about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half for this to actually get to the temperature we want. Alright, so hang on. Alright, I got everything set up out here in the backyard, and I'm going to have two cameras running. This one that you see currently, and I've got a little GoPro over here on the side, which will give us a close-up of the actual pours into the molds. The furnace is over here, so you can see there's the furnace. It's just a little backyard version I bought in the kit form and had to pour the refractory cement in. Got some of the molds set up here. I've got three of them. The big one has a butt plate for a rifle in it. The next one over has a trigger guard for a rifle, pistol, and a side plate for the rifle. And the small one back here has a side plate for a pistol and the grotesque mask butt for the pistol. And all these will be cast in sterling. So we'll start off with the item that takes the most metal, and that will basically be the butt plate. Then we'll go to the two trigger guards and side plate, and then quickly over to the the two small pieces for the pistol. And this has to be done fast. Once it's pulled out, you have only a few moments to pour this before it starts cooling down too much to actually pour well. So you have to be fairly quick. So there'll be very little talking when I'm doing that. And since this is in the midst of that COVID stuff, I'm trying to do this by myself, so I apologize. Normally I'd have my apprentice out here with the camera and we'd be filming this a little bit better. But that's why I've set up a couple of cameras so that I can put all this together and you can see in better detail what's been happening. Alright, so let's see how this goes. First of all, got to fire this up, and I'll set it so you can see me getting all this going here. I've got the crucible here. I'm going to put it in while the furnace is cold. And I'm going to align it so that when I take this out, which is what these tongs are for, they reach in and grab it, pull it out while it's hot, then I'll set it into the pouring handles and lock them in. But I want everything in the right position so I don't have to move things around. You can see there's a bit of a pouring lip on this that I want pointed towards the molds as I head over that way. Got the silver out there melting down, and while that's doing it, I just wanted to take a minute here to talk about we want to be very safe in what we do with metal like this at the temperatures we're talking about. I've got leather apron on, I've got heavy leather gloves, I've got a face mask to protect myself, and I've got everything set up so that there's a clear path to everywhere I've got to go while I'm pouring. Two things you really got to be careful of: if that stuff spills and it's 3,000 degrees, you're not going to be able to get away from it very quickly. It might hit into your shoes and you can't kick them off fast enough, believe me. I've seen that happen. And all you'll end up with is third-degree burns on the top of your feet. So wear leather shoes. Nice if you've got some with steel cap toes on them. If there's any moisture, if you're trying to do this and water drips into that pot at any time, it's going to be an explosion. Even one drop can get in there and it'll create so much steam that the pot will basically just, everything in it will come flying out the top. And unfortunately I've done that, and friends have done that when casting lead, and it's not a pretty sight, and you get that hot metal all over your hands and your face, and it can be very dangerous. So again, I stress, if you're going to do this, err on the side of caution. Keep yourself covered, protected, keep small animals, kids, your wife away from this, so that if anything were to happen, they wouldn't be a casualty as well, okay? Because these burns can go very deep. So So just be careful out there.
What's in the turkey breast? What's in the Italian on your everyday? Good food is good for you, but good for you. Now get a big butt on when you buy two. And order ahead for quick and easy pickup. Because it's pretty on season.
The two older brothers, I've done a lot of stuff since Mom was worried about my growth, so she gave me feeding. My doctor said it's got protein, 25 vitamins, and minerals.
That's some very interesting articles.
Sure, and they all hold out.
I imagine it has intellectual content.
You mean girls wear glasses?
Every man likes to look at pretty girls. It's a normal, healthy American pastime. Something you wives don't understand.
Because it's not true. Some men grow up.
Name one.
Derek, for one, I bet he doesn't open girls.
Well, Darren's not as perfect as you think.
You mean he buys magazines like that?
He doesn't have to.
You mean because he's married to Samantha?
I mean, of course, that's what I mean.
No, you didn't. What are you trying to
Now we're going to let these
I'm trying to hide something.
sit and cool a little while. About half an hour to do that, and then we'll break the molds open and see what we got.
And you'll never find out.
And with luck, won't have to do them again. They'll be fine the first time. So stay tuned. Be right back.